Well, welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. I almost said the Forex Fortress, but it's not necessarily the Forex Fortress any longer. It's more like a late day Bitcoin wrap up and looking at some of the major market indices. So with that said, we'll start off with Dixie today. I actually wasn't even planning on doing this video. If you were around in the Twitch stream earlier, I kind of was thinking about just not doing it at all, but I figured there's a few new things in the shorter term time frame, so why not just discuss it and following up on this morning's short-term analysis. So starting off with Dixie, what do we see? So at the end of last week, we did hit into our 10 average target on the weekly, right below $91, of which I do still look at this as likely creating a long-term bottom to rally off of, meaning a greater rally than this, but I'd still be looking for it to kind of range more or less between our current high of about just above 91 bucks and our current closing low just below $90 even. So with that said, I'd be looking for this price action to push down, and then ultimately, while I do believe that there will be very likely a greater rally from this region, it's probably going to be, or it's probably going to take some time, as we have seen in the past on all of the macro lows. You can see this macro low over here in February 2018 took about a little bit more than three months. I think this was like 15 or so weeks, 14 or 15 weeks. The last macro low before that was all the way over here in July 2011. This one taking a very similar time as well, just over 3 months it looks like. And then this one over here in March 08, same thing, same time, same place, about 3 months long before the big old reversal. So with that in mind, you know, while I do think that there will be a greater reversal from this region, it likely plays to and fro for a little bit more time, as we've only spent about 1, 2, 3, 4 working on week number 5 as we speak. So with that in mind, basically again the range just above 91 bucks. Call it let's just call it 91, and then down technically speaking about 89 3/4 to the downside. If we go down to the very low term time frames, or actually let's first go down to the daily, I'd be looking for a little bit of a pullback from the 55 exponential moving average, and yes indeed I do look at this as a bit of a test of it. And if we go down to the very low term time frames, like a 4 hour, same thing here as well. Ultimately I do like this, but I would look for it to trade further south in the short term time frame, so that likely does benefit all of the major US dollar pairings on the whole, that is, of course. Now with that in mind, let's go check out gold really quick. Where is my gold? Mr. Gold member, where are you? Where art thou? There it is, 1836. Popping back up in the early morning hours, it looks like. On this one, you know, we did say last week I'd be looking for a target a little bit lower than 1800. We just got down to low 1802 actually, and now playing out a nice healthy bounce upon that region. Is that close enough in this regard? Yeah, I do think so. It probably grounds out this area, you know, more or less over the next few weeks. But ultimately, I do think that this could be this sort of next bottoming segment, as long as we don't see any weekly closures below about 1780-ish region. That looks good to me. Although I would still be defensive against another swipe to the downside, but ultimately I would be looking for it to get picked back on up and try again to the upside, back above 1900 and beyond. So with that in mind, again, likely to put in its time essentially sideways and a little bit lower, and then give a bit of a rally here. Do we have any bullish divergence? Actually, we do have bullish divergence. So in the very, very short term, I'd be looking for a move up to like 1845, 1850-ish region, but I would be looking for things to push back after that and probably try another move to the downside, then get picked up, and then we'll see after that. So, you know, again, more of a long-term look on that one, but not anything too titillating to look at right now. Obviously, we can look at NASDAQ because futures are trading today. You know, is there much to be said about this? Not really, no. I'd be looking for a short-term move to the upside at about 12,869 right here. Great number right there, to be fair. We do see that 4-hour momentum oscillators are going to turn back up as well, with any sort of a closure above 12,782. And if we go over here to the daily, nosediving as it is right now, the daily does look still under pressure. I still would be defensive against a move over the next week or two, potentially down to about 12.5, but that would be a pretty obvious area for a nice bouncy bounce. Same thing on the weekly 10 simple, right around that region, actually a little bit higher at 12.6, so anywhere between about 12.5 and 12.6 I think would be kind of a no-brainer, at least for a bouncy bounce. And then I think E-mini futures over here are a little bit more of a beautiful chart to look at, actually, as the daily still kind of playing off the 21. You know, no major issues with that. Although we do have bearish divergence on the daily, and we do actually do have bearish divergence, I believe, working on the weekly, if this does confirm as a local high. So the main thing that I'd say is that as long as we don't see any sort of a wick lower than what we saw on the 4th of January below 36.52.5, more or less, you know, just the same. Now, if this area gets taken out to the downside, we can talk about big downside targets. At this point, we'd be talking about 35.50 on SPY. We'd be talking about about 1,200 to 12,001, or not 1,200, 12,000 to 12,100 on NASDAQ. But for right now, you know, today is basically a holiday. I'll just be looking for it to go sideways. I don't think you're going to see any major move until tomorrow around open. All right, on to Bitcoin we go. And I want to follow up on not yesterday's, but this morning's short-term analysis, of which this morning, yes, I was looking for a short-term move to the downside. Looks like we didn't get that. So Krown is wrong. Krown should die, hang him, burn him, and tar him and feather him. It's good. But to be fair, I mean, we're still kind of just playing in a range here. I don't really have anything much unique to add that I already haven't said on this morning's video, but I do believe that we have a very obvious short-term time frame range between about 37.5 to the upside. Let's just call it 37,000 the upside on a closing basis versus same areas as this morning, 33,000 to 34,000. I actually do still think that it's potential to get down there. But the reason why I wanted to come back and make this video right now is because there's something that's way more important than all of that going on that could be confirmed as early as today's daily closure coming in 7 hours and 52 minutes and 56 seconds, and it'd be this. So if the daily does close above 37,350, we will see daily Stokes cross back onto the upside once again. That will be fulfilling yet again another test of this long-term trend line coming in from our lows in late September, of which that's connected with our lows in early December. And if we reference these price points on the actual chart, that was coming in from this major accumulation low in, well, again, late September right here at about 10,500, or actually 10,250 to be fair. And then the next sideways consolidation phase in about early November, we did see another higher low being, early December right around here being put in yet again on that same trend line. So you can see that these are really the only consolidations that we've seen except for, you know, just melt up phases of price action. So if Bitcoin did essentially fulfill that, I would essentially look at that as still in progress, still working, and still have to have an upside bias on the whole. So regardless of any sort of short-term analysis here, I hope that it is quite clear that as long as Bitcoin's playing out the higher low structure on the daily, I'm not going to be bearish on it, you know. Of course, we also do have some over here that I did not mention on this morning's video. It'd be the DMI plus, just the DMI ADX, of which we don't see either one of them dominant right now. We see both the ADX and the DMI, both the DMI plus and the DMI minus below the threshold at about, and I have it on a more aggressive read. I mean, 24 would actually be a more traditional read on this one, but I would use an aggressive read in this specific case because this ADX being this low on the daily, when that thing turns up, it's likely going to carry on for quite some time. Anytime that we do get this low, by the way, typically we're talking about a mega move here. This one right here, boom. This was your move in late August. We're talking about this move over here. This was your move in about middle to late of April of this year. You know, these in this move over here, actually, big one as well. But my point is right now is that if we do see the DMI plus or the DMI minus get dominant above this level as the ADX strengthens, especially if you see what we just spoke about on the daily MET, which I imagine probably would pull the DMI plus above the threshold, and the ADX probably does start to strengthen at that level as well. If those things are combined together, I'd be looking for another drive back up towards 39 to 40,000 bucks, and probably, you know, sets it up for a breakout to the upside over the next few days. So again, you know, can the short-term timeframes come down? Yeah, and in fact, I actually do think that they probably come back down somewhere around about 35,000 bucks. Maybe it swipes lower to 33 or 34,000 bucks. I don't have a strong opinion on that. My strong opinion is on the formation in its entirety, and I'm bullish on this formation as long as we are essentially above the last higher low at about 33,900 to be exact. So with that in mind, do I want to shut off this video right there? Is there anything on the lower term time frames to be aware of? No, not really. 4-hour Stokes are going to cross up on CMEs on the next tick, very likely with any sort of a closure above 36,176. Let's keep an eye on that, but ultimately more sideways within a range between about 37 and 34, we'll call it. And, you know, if those conditions that we just laid out on the daily are met, I'd essentially be having a more upside bias in the more immediate future, targeting somewhere around about 40,000 bucks, give or take $1,000 bucks. So with that said, I do want to wish you the best. I have a steak to eat. Take care, and until next time.